Hey, you've already seen the title of the video, so let's get into it.
I've divided specific sections of this video with the timestamps in the description, so if you don't fancy watching the entire video or you've already done some parts, you can use these to get around.
First thing you're going to want to do is open your favorite web browser and go to NodeJS.org. This is an important thing that you're going to need to actually run JavaScript outside of a web page, because JavaScript is made to run in web pages. So you want to click whatever the current thing is, and that'll give you a file that looks like this. You run it, you go through the installation setup, next, you accept, next, whatever you want to install it. I just go with the default really. Click next, and then click next again and just install it. I'm sure you know how to install things, so there you go. Once that's finished, it'll say it has been successfully installed, and you just click finish. So the thing that you're going to want to do now is set up a place for everything inside your bot to go in. So everything that your bot needs, just a folder so that it's organized, and you can put this wherever you want. Just so you go in a file system. In my case, I'm going to put it in my E drive. This is called bots, and here's all my other bots. But make a new folder for your bot. You can call it whatever you want. I'm going to call mine Code Dragon, just for example. And this is where everything inside your bot will be. So since we're using the Discord.js library, we're going to have to actually install Discord.js. So you hold shift, right click, and here you go. There's an option to open PowerShell window here. You're going to want to click that. And on here you type npm install -s Discord.js. I can't type. And this will install all the components from Discord.js from the npm directory. I don't really have to explain what npm is. I'm assuming you know about it, but if you don't, you can just follow that and it'll work. You're going to end up with a folder called node modules inside your folder now. That's important because the node modules contains everything that your bot needs to connect to Discord and do other things like that. I'm not going to have the node modules in my Code Dragon folder. It's going to be in my Discord bots folder, but that's because all of my bots can then use the same thing, because all of them use the same thing. But for your case, it's just going to be inside your bot folder. So probably it's the same thing, just I don't need it here necessarily. Now you're going to want to create some files for your bot. There's going to have to be a main JavaScript file. So you can call this whatever you want. You can call it bot.js, index.js, anything that you want, as long as it's consistent throughout your code. I prefer to call them by the bot name just because I like that. So I'm just going to call this one codedragon.js. And there you go, you have a JavaScript file. Another thing that you're going to want to do is make another JSON file this time and call it config.json, or you can call it anything you want. As I said, you can call it settings.json. It's going to be the main place for everything that can go in your bot that you can change, such as a prefix and a token. I'll talk about that later. And everything else, anything else that you want to put in there. Press enter, and you have 2 code files now, and we're going to use those very often. It's at this point that you're probably going to want to find an IDE if you don't have one. My personal favorite is Visual Studio Code, so you can just find that easily by doing a Google search or whatever, and you just download it. It's my personal favorite, but obviously use whatever you want. There's Atom. I do have Atom. There's Sublime Text, all of those things. But for my personal preference, I'm going to be using Visual Studio Code. For whatever editor you're using, you're going to have to be opening the folder that you actually want, so it's in your bot folder. So it's usually going to be the same for every single one. You just go to File, Open Folder, and then you navigate to your Discord bots folder. In my case, it's here, and just open that file. And your IDE should open everything. So you got codedragon.js and config.js, everything that we made in the folder, so that's useful. Of course, you could also just use Notepad to code in, but in that case, stop watching the video. Now it's all very good having the code files, but how are you actually going to get a bot user such as this one or this one? See, everyone here is considered a Discord user, and to get a bot user you have to create one by going to Discord's website. So you just open your favorite web browser again, and this time you want to go to discordapp.com/developers. And once you go there, you'll probably be redirected to your My Applications page, and this basically shows every single one of your applications, which will mostly probably be bots. I've made a lot of bots because I have no life. What you want to do is create an application, create a new one, call it whatever you want, say Code Dragon for example, and select a nice profile picture for it, you know, like this one. And call it whatever you want. The description doesn't matter. It's, no one's actually going to see it really. And this is called an application. So if you go back to applications, you'll see that it has appeared. But this isn't a bot user yet. You have to go to get a bot user. You have to go down here to bot, and you click add bot. Yes, do it. And this is now a bot user. So you see it has a username and it has a tag too, because every Discord user has a tag. Also has a token, which is important. We're gonna need that. We're gonna actually need that to connect the code that we have here to the bot. You can also set a few other settings here, such as public bot. If it's public, then anyone can invite it to any server they want. It doesn't necessarily need an invite link. They can add it anyway if they know how. So how do you actually invite this bot to a server? Well, you get just like you invite any other bot, it's called an OAuth2 link. You can create one here by basically going into here, you click bot, and it will generate one for you. So the way it generates this is actually it's always the same, except client ID equals, that is going to equal the ID of your bot, which is shown here. So that's how it generates it. So just copy that, put it into a web browser. You'll see that you're starting to get something quite familiar. You just connect to Discord. You can add a bot. If you've added a bot before, it will look like this. So you just choose a server, say Rubix' Apocalyptic Testing Grounds, and you click authorize. Confirm you're not a robot literally by clicking a checkbox, and you've added your bot. So now if you go to that server that you actually added it to, such as Rubix' Apocalyptic Testing Grounds, don't judge, you will see that your bot has actually joined into Discord, and this is it. Your same tag will be here, it'll be a bot, and it's going to be new to Discord, so you can say hi. There's one problem with this though. The bot is offline, and a lot of people get stuck here trying to get their bot to go online. And to get it online, we need to use code. I mentioned before how we had this token here, and it's very important. So you just click to reveal that, and this you shouldn't show it to anyone. And if you do show it to anyone and you don't mean to, then you should probably regenerate it, because this token is like a password, and that password allows anyone's code to get into your bot user and to do anything that the bot can. So say this bot has admin permissions on this server. If someone has that token, they could write code to delete every single channel on this server, for example. Not that I'd care, since I don't care about this server, but if you do care about your server, then you don't want anyone controlling your bot to maliciously attack you. So for the most part, keep this secret. Now you're probably wondering why I'm not keeping this secret. Well, at the end of this video, I'm just going to regenerate it anyway, so don't try using it. You want to copy that, and now we get into the code. Open your text editor. You want to go into config.json. Now I'm assuming you already know about JSON. It stands for JavaScript Object Notation. Yes, and it's basically a way that we can store JavaScript objects into a file. It's for long-term storage, so that the bot can remember things. This is great for economy systems later down the road. But for now, we're going to start some basic things. You're going to start with these curly brackets right here. Every JSON file needs to have these curly brackets. If they don't, then you'll get an error. That's bad. To store something inside it, you have quotation marks, and then you give something a name, such as prefix. Put a comma after that, and then you can store anything here you want, like a number or something like that. You can even store another object, for example, but the prefix is going to be a string, and this prefix can literally be anything. For the purposes of this, I'm just going to use the right arrow. And to add another thing, we have to put a comma here, and then do the same thing again. Name another variable. Let's call this one token, and this is going to contain the token of the bot. So the same thing that we copied here. Copy the entire thing into there, and you're good. Then we've set up the config.json. You'll see the editor will probably nag you to save it by putting that little dot up there. So just press Ctrl S to save it, and it'll be saved. Now the bot's still not online, and that's because we haven't even run the code, and because there isn't really any code yet. So let's get to doing that. Code Dragon.js, and this is where we start coding. The first thing that we want to do is const discard equals require discard.js. Now I'll explain everything that goes on here. Const defines a variable as a constant, which means that it can't be changed, but we're not going to change this anyway. Discard is the name of the variable, and we're storing it as require discard.js. Require is a function in Node.js that allows you to go into another file and get everything from it. So we're going to be using that to import commands and things from separate files. So this basically means that we have discard.js, and that's what we're going to use. Second thing we need to add here is a variable called bot or client. You can call it client if you want, but you can call it anything. I just prefer bot. What we want to do is const bot equals new discard.client. That's it. Now what this does, it defines a variable called bot as a Discord client, and this basically means an entryway into Discord so that we can send messages and things into Discord and receive messages from Discord. You can also call it client. You can call it whatever you want, but for the purposes of this tutorial, I'm calling it bot because it's shorter and I prefer it. Now we're going to need to use that bot variable to set a ready event. So bot.on. Then the next function is going to be ready, so we just put ready like that. And now we're going to need a function that will run when the event is triggered. This event is called ready, and the ready event is triggered when the Discord bot successfully logs into Discord for the first time, and when it does log into Discord, it will run this function. So there's no parameters, so we just put brackets like that. A function arrow, this is important because function arrow, you might not know what it is. It basically means function. See, writing this right here is literally the same as doing this. Literally the same as that, but it's shorter and it's nicer and it looks cleaner. So I'll be using the function arrow, but you can also use function if you want. It does the same thing. For example, you can do x, and that's literally a function, which is the same as doing function x, except you need brackets. Literally the same. There's no difference. When the bot is on, we want to log something to a console to tell us that the bot is on. So we can do something like console.log bot is online, for example. Now this still won't make the bot go online because the bot isn't actually logging into Discord. I said that we needed the token to log into Discord, so that's what we're going to use now. So you want to do bot.login, and you want the token. So this comes to another problem. How do we get the token from the config.json into here? Well, we can use the require thing that we use to get the Discord.js, things that are Discord.js. So what you do is you want to make another const variable. Const, you can call it config if you want, or settings. I prefer settings. equals, actually no, let's call it config. That's less confusing. Const config equals require, and now you want to type in the path to config.json. .jas means the same directory, and then since you're in the same directory now, you just do config.json, and then it'll target that file. So now we've set config to that. So config effectively means this entire file. So what we want to do is find the token in this file. We don't need the prefix yet. So to get the token, we do config.token. And now the bot will log in using the token. And then when it has logged in, it will log something to the console saying the bot is online. Hopefully. Now to run it, the short-term answer to running it is opening a PowerShell again and doing node code dragon.js, whatever you called your thing. There you go. It spent a little bit of time logging in there, and it logged to the console bot is online, because when it was ready, we told it to log to the console bot is online. And if we check Discord, you'll see, congratulations, you have made the bot go online. It's now considered online, just like these other bots, and it's almost ready to actually receive messages and send some messages itself. Now, it isn't very efficient to constantly go into the file and open PowerShell and then do this, so what we can do is make a batch file. A batch file will literally do the same thing, but you can just double click it like an executable. So you can call it whatever you want, like start.bat, and throw it into the editor so you can edit it. And you basically do exactly what we did on the PowerShell, but you do it in a file, because that's how it works. So node code dragon.js. After that, you also want to put pause. If it basically runs into an error, then without the pause, the window will just close. But with the pause, it won't close, and you'll be able to actually read the error. So just save that. And now with that, if you double click start.bat, you'll see that the bot goes online and the JavaScript file actually runs. So that's good. That means that we now have a way to run our bot, and this will be the console for the bot, so you can log whatever you want here. Okay, so you've got your bot online, but the biggest problem now is if you do anything, if you type help or hi, nothing will happen. That's a different bot. Ignore that. Well, that's because nothing in our code is actually reading messages. So we're gonna have to add another listener, but this time it's not going to be ready, it's going to be message, so that we can get messages coming from Discord, and so we can actually make the bot respond to things like this. So let's do that. Also, because this bot actually conflicts with one of my other bots, I'm going to quickly change the prefix. As I said, you can change it to anything you want, but I'm going to change it to 2 exclamation marks. Pretty generic. I didn't mention this to all the other tutorials, but if you open your favorite web browser again and you go to this right here, discord.js.org, you can just type in discord.js.org and it'll come up. Ignore all of that. And this is basically the docs, and you can find loads of examples here. This is basically where everyone will go if you're struggling to find the name of a function or something. So what we're doing here is we're going in client. Client is what I've defined as bot, and you have these events, so that's what the bot.on is. So if you look through here, there's a ready event, which is exactly the same thing as we'd use there. So we're going to be using another event that's called message right here. So that's all you do. So you just do bot.on message, and then there's actually a parameter for this one, as you can see on the docs. It has one parameter message, and it's the message type. So you can call it message or message. You can put anything you want here. I prefer putting message there. If you wanted to have both message and MSG, then you could also do MSG equals message, and then you can use both of them. So personal preference, basically. Well, what is this message? Well, if you click on here, then the docs will show you what a message actually is. And one of the most frequently used things you're going to be using with a message is content. As you can see, if you click on that, message.content is the entire content of the message. So just to demo this, if you log message.content to the console. Now keep in mind that since we've made changes to the code, even though we saved it, this what we've got here won't actually update, so you need to close that and run the start bot again, and it will restart the bot. There is a better way to do this, but I'll explain that later. For now, you just want to restart the bot again. So just to demo this, you can open Discord again, and you can type in something like hi, and look at the console, and it will output hi, because it's read the message. This is invoked, and it's logged the content, which in this case is hi, and in other cases it was hi, just as that person just said. So what can you do with this? Well, you can make commands with this. For example, because we know what message or content is, we can decide if that message starts with the prefix. How do we get the prefix? The same way we got the token, but it's prefix. So you can do something like let prefix equals config dot prefix. Let is like const, but it isn't a constant. So with a constant, you're not going to be able to do things like bot equals abc. That wouldn't work. It would throw an error because you can't change a constant variable. But prefix, you can change that. Come to think of it, you don't actually need to change the prefix variable yet, so I'm just going to put that as a const. You can set an if statement here to decide whether the message starts with the prefix or not, and this is important because you want the bot to only react to messages that start with the prefix, right? So the way you do this is message.content.start with prefix. Basically in English, if something starts with something, it will return true. So if message.content starts with prefix, then that means that we can start looking for commands. A better way to do this though is to invert it. The exclamation mark will invert it so that if this is true, then this is false, basically. And that means that if the message doesn't start with the prefix, then we can do something called return. And return in this instance will basically not execute any code down here because it will return nothing. So now any code passed here will only run if the message starts with the prefix. So now to demo it, we can do console.log message.content, and you can do this again. Make sure to restart the bot console, and now if I type hi, nothing's going to happen. But if I type 2 exclamation marks and then hi, as you can see, it will actually do it. So hi doesn't work, hi actually works. And hell yeah, I did tell them to sub. Please subscribe to our channel. Thanks. So now you can start to make actual commands, and the most simplest way to make commands is basically if message content is equal to, say, prefix hello, just as an example for what the command would be called. This is interesting because what I've done here is I've used the $sign and then 2 curly brackets. This only works if you use this symbol as a string. On the UK keyboards, that's just on the top left. I don't know what the fuck it is for US keyboards, but it allows you to basically input a variable into a string. So this will change to whatever the prefix is. So in my case, that'll change to 2 exclamation marks. So if it's hello, we can now make the bot send something if the command hello is triggered. And the way we make the bot send something is if we go into the docs again, message dot channel, which represents the channel that the message was sent in. So in this case, the message was sent in this channel called bot testing, and there's a method that we can use for channel, and that's called send, and that just makes the bot send a message to the channel. That's it. So all you do is you chain this, so message.channel.send. This is the channel the message was sent in. We're sending a message to the channel, and we can send something like hello. Make sure you restart the bot console again. So now if we do the prefix hello, the bot will actually respond with hello. Oh my god, I know, right? And if you do something else like hi or something, then nothing else actually works. Must be your first. That's literally simple commands, and that is how you simply make your bot respond to something. It doesn't have to be a prefix either. You could do something like if message.content equals hi, then well, you can make the bot send something like hi there. And if you restart the thing again, then you can say hi, and it says hi there. Cute. The little code nuggie says hi there. It's alive. It is alive. That must be really annoying. So you have to restart your bot. You have to exit this and start again. What if there was another way to do this? For example, you know, like typing in rs and then the bot literally restarts. There is a way to do this because I just literally did it. Shift right click on the folder your bots are in again. Open the PowerShell window, and you're gonna need to install another thing. And this, we installed NodeJS before, but now we're going to install something called Nodemon, and Nodemon allows you to actually do that. So what we're gonna do is npm install -s Nodemon. I think that's it. After that's finished, you'll install Nodemon. Now, once Nodemon is actually installed, you're going to want to edit the start function, the start.bat. So you go into the code editor again, and instead of doing node this time, you do Nodemon, and this will make Nodemon execute it instead of node. So now, I'm pretty sure if you do start.bat again, yeah, so if you do start.bat again, you'll see that now Nodemon starts it. So Nodemon starts it, and then to restart the button now, you can do rs. The other good thing about Nodemon is not just that. If you say make changes to the file, so if I delete all of this and then I save it, it restarts automatically because it detects changes in the file. So you can basically just save your bot and it will detect changes and it will automatically restart your bot, which is handy. So you don't have to keep on closing this and opening it again. You just can keep this open forever, and that's good. So I hope this tutorial helped you. This is obviously only the basics. I'll be going into more advanced stuff. Like obviously you don't just want your bot to reply to something that says hello. You want your bot to do a lot of different things. So I'll be going over a lot of things. This is just the literal simple basics. So now you've managed to make a bot. You can make the bot reply to a message, and you can make a bot, you know, log messages to a console as well. All skills that you're going to need in the future. Remember to keep the token secure. Don't let anyone see it. Just a heads up, if you're ever stuck, honestly, just send me a message on Discord. The link to our Discord server will be in the description. You can send me a message there. You can also look up stuff on the docs. So everything is here. Everything that I'm actually going to teach you is here already. So you can just teach yourself by going there, basically. Another mention is that Limitless here says that he'll be doing a C# tutorial for bots. So if you want to go to the shameful level of writing a bot in C# instead of JavaScript and actually following his shitty tutorial, then you can do that. Yeah, you can do that. All the info and stuff aside, I hope you enjoyed the video and it actually taught you something. And I hope your bot actually works. Speaking of which, if you want to actually invite your bot to our CodeDragon server, I'm all for it. So you can add your bot here and we can test it together, and I can actually help you with that. It'll be fun. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next bot tutorial. Bye bye.